Record. Hey guys, good evening. So this is 401 for the first time ever of this version. So we're going to be going through some securities material. Tonight is going to be securities basics. So let me show you really quick what this is going to look like across the just like across the board. Okay. And so let me get y'all out of my way. I love you. Get out of my way. There we go. Okay. So tonight, 401 week one, right? Securities basics. Next week, when we do 401 week two, we're going to talk about the mobile F&A and how do you leverage that to really like work that into your close from the life and then into the security side of things. Week three, everyone's favorite that they know nothing about because most of securities compensation is sort of like a black hole. We're going to talk about compensation and why you want to get securities licensed quickly because over half of the compensation paid last year was paid to securities license reps, but only 20-ish% of Primerica has a securities license. Let that sink in, okay? And then week four, Easy Key and Sam. This is going to be more like probably what you guys really want, and it's more going to be more of like how to like actual button clicking. But the main goal for this is to show you how easy it actually is to open a pack and begin an investment for somebody with Easy Key on the back end of a Life app. It's literally copy the data and open the account, guys. It's super simple. This one's going to be dedicated, week five is going to be dedicated to annuities because the annuity product, especially when we sit down with older clients, is generally the right product for them, especially on the buffer annuity side. And then on the last piece of it, QBI client retention. This one is sort of fuzzy right now because we may actually end up condensing all of Sunday Night Skills into a 4-week cycle. And so we're sort of playing with this. But as of right now, that's where we're going to stick. All right. It's just now a minute after. Are there any questions on anything before I jump over and get started? And I gotta pull up the chat somewhere so I can see this. Okay, so no questions. Let me jump back over to week one and we'll kick this thing off. All right. Format wise, everything should be the same, right? Like you're going to see these slide decks and they're going to look the same on purpose. Okay. So 401 week one, the basics, the Zoom etiquette, guys, be on time, be early. Please start like helping your people sort of realize that early is on time. At least 3 to 4 minutes early prior to coming in. I don't need them locked up for 15 minutes prior to, right? But at least 3 to 4 minutes before we're set to begin. Okay. Camera's on. If your camera's off, guys, you are not paying attention. Like, I don't care what you tell me. I would rather have you plugged in of some sort than not. But if your camera is not on, you're not as engaged as you should be. All right. Mute button, obviously, notes. Sharpest mind is gonna lose to the dullest pencil no matter what. And you can say it the other way, right? Dullest pencil is better than the sharpest mind. But if you're not taking notes, you're going to miss something. And if you have questions, throw it in the Zoom chat, and I will do my best to monitor the chat on that. All right. So here's what we're going to talk about tonight. And guys, this is honestly a big sort of just like basics for you. This isn't really focused at your clients. We can talk about how to leverage this into your clients, but honestly, this is for you guys. Okay. 3Ds of investing, we'll talk about that. The 3 accounts you need, that's truly for your clients. The types of retirement accounts. Guys, this should feel like a 101 because it's 101 for securities, if that makes sense. All right. What the heck is a mutual fund? Rule of 72, and then the high cost of waiting. These are all super important topics for you to be able to, one, not only understand, but two, be able to teach to your clients and explain it in such a way that it sounds so simple and so easy that it removes all of this like mysteria and mystique about investing because that's why most people don't do it, guys. They think it's too complicated. They think you got to have boatloads of money in order to do it, and only rich people invest. And that's the truth. And that's what they think. But we know for a fact that that's not true. Okay. And that's what we're going to help sort of like alleviate and get out of people's minds. So the first 2 Ds of investing. And guys, you can explain investing to people this exact way, right? Discipline and diversification are really like where it starts. I mean, look, our own government doesn't have discipline right now. right? And that's why we're going through all of these crazy cuts right now. But here's the way I sort of explain discipline to people, right? I say, hey, look, I mean, let's be honest, you guys pay your mortgage, you pay your car note, you pay your other insurances. Those things are bills, right? Perfect. Do you ever get a bill every month that says, pay Marty $600, pay Nicole $1,000? No, none of us will. But I mean, let's be honest, but here you go. And here's your tie down. But I mean, Marty, let's be honest, dude, you're a responsible adult, right? Yeah, you pay your bills. So, I mean, Marty, so if you got that bill, you would pay it. You would pay it. But Marty, why aren't you sending yourself that bill? If you're the only one that can send you that bill, Marty, and you know you pay your bills, why haven't you figured out how to pay yourself that bill yet? Guys, because that's investing, right? And that's discipline. Just even if we just start small, Marty, you would agree that it's super important to just start small and get yourself used to paying yourself first. Am I right? Perfect. Dude, I can start that for you with as low as 25 bucks a month. You probably thought it was going to be way more, right? Yeah, dude, super simple. Like as soon as we're done with the life insurance application, I can actually hit a button and copy all the data. I can probably open you your Roth IRA and your money market account in about 12 minutes. That's something you'd be open to taking a look at? Perfect. Guys, like these are the talk tracks that you have to start having with people. And if you're spending an hour explaining stuff, you're never going to get to the close. And that's probably where a lot of us are missing it. All right. And then diversification is pretty simple, guys. It's a balanced portfolio, which just offsets risk amongst different asset classes. And if you understand diversification, like all you're thinking about in that sort of sense is don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And we'll get to this when we start talking about like what is a mutual fund. But guys, just by the sheer fact of the fact that we use mutual funds, your client is already diversified. An average mutual fund, guys, has somewhere between 60 and 150 different stocks inside of it. Now, they're all from the same sort of asset class, right? They're large cap, small cap, whatever, but they're not all just one stock, right? You're not betting, you're investing. Okay. So dollar cost averaging. Now this is a big one. This ties back into discipline big time though. But this just goes back to, Marty, we got to make sure you're paying yourself that $25 a month no matter what, right? That $50 a month no matter what. And right down the road, we'll look at the mobile F&A because that's going to show your client where they are right now on track to retirement age with whatever they're doing and however much they've got invested. And it's going to show you the difference. Oh, by the way, you can leverage that into recruiting across the kitchen table because I mean, let's be honest, Marty, if I could help you make that extra 500 bucks a month, it'd be a heck of a lot easier than trying to squeeze it out of what you're doing right now, right? Like these are the leverage things that I think a lot of us have been missing. Okay, so everyone everyone wants to see a rising market because everyone wants to look at their account balance and see it goes up, right? And that's totally understandable, right? But if you were just investor A and you were just investing when the market was rising, right? By the time you were done, your average like number of shares accumulated would be about three times less than investor B who was investing during a fluctuating market. Guys, the easiest way to explain dollar cost averaging to someone is use groceries, right? I mean, Tanya, like what's your thing that you guys don't compromise in, like or compromise on in the kitchen? Like I'll give you my example. Like my wife, if there's not Jif peanut butter on the shelf, we just don't have peanut butter in the house. She's not bringing home something else. Peter Pan ain't coming in. Skippy ain't making it. It's Jif or nothing, right? And so if Melissa goes to the store and the peanut butter is great, it's the exact same peanut butter. But this time when she went in, instead of one for $5, she can get five for $5. Do you think she's only going to buy one? No, she won't. Because if she's going to spend the same money but get more, it's a great deal, right? So this is the way you have to think about your stocks, Tanya, right? If the market's up, great. You open your account, your balance is up, you're happy. But we also need to learn that if we open like the internet or open a browser or whatever, and you see the market's down, great, because your favorite things just went on sale. All of your Amazon, your Apple, your Microsoft, whatever that like demographic of things is that you want inside those mutual funds or that you continuously invest in, guys, if they're down for a day, a quarter, perfect. Perfect. Your favorite stuff just went on sale. That's really the way to think about it. Even in a very down market, hey, this is not timing the market. Let me say that again. This is not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Okay. That's what it's all about, guys. And so if you have a long-term forecast on this, regardless of market conditions, we are putting in our minimum monthly amount and we are going to dollar cost average over the course of that investment. Okay. Questions on this before I move on? I know you guys are having fun with the whole like the GIF conversation, but outside of like dollar cost averaging, these are basic concepts. I want to give you guys with the basics. I want to give you guys ways to talk about them more comfortably with clients. That was really the goal for this. Okay. Here's the three accounts we need, guys. And these are the three accounts that your clients need. These are like non-negotiables, right? So you should have an emergency account. For me, we don't even have savings accounts. Savings accounts are all but worthless because if I can go into my same app and I can move money from this account to this account in about 3 seconds, I'm not really saving it. Am I right? Like, guys, if you can move it this quick, are you ever really going to save it? Probably not, right? So here's the way I want you to think about your emergency account. Whatever your like minimum sort of like comfort level is, for most people, it's about $1,000. Like that's your new zero. Okay. That's your new floor in your checking account. So your emergency account should be about an extra $1,000 in your checking account. If you get to 1,000, that's really zero. You don't really want to dip into that guy. Okay. Your short-term account, this is what we would talk about, your money market account. That's something where we're gonna, and we'll talk about this here in a second, but your money's gonna be working for you. You're gonna be earning a much higher interest rate, so higher rate of return. On average, it's going to be more than 10x of the national savings rates. So here's your talk track for the money market, guys. So if I could help you, Nicole, if I could move your money from your savings account to a money market account and probably more than 10x your rate of return on that, is that something you'd be open to taking a look at? Especially if the account was free? And the answer is always yes, guys. The answer is always yes. And the easiest thing to do, and I'll show you how to do this with a calculator, is use a $10,000 savings example. Because in a $10,000 savings example, guys, right now at 3.9, that money's making $390 a year in interest divided by 12, right? You're talking like 30, what, $33 a month in interest. But if they had that same 10 grand in a regular old checking or savings account, they'd be making, I don't know, $1, $2, maybe 10 at the most. Like all of you guys right now, do me a favor, go to your banking app, pull up your checking or savings account and tell me how much interest your bank just paid you this month. Because today's the first, right? Today's the first. I, I I will be floored if anyone's interest was more than $1. Kelly Bailey, 40 cents is actually surprising. You either have way too much money in your checking account or you have a pretty good bank. I'm actually shocked because it's usually like 1 cent. Charlene's got a quarter. That's pretty good. Guys, I'm telling you, it's usually like 1 cent, right? And then there we go, 6 cents. So look, wealth building account, guys, this is your future. This is your investment. These are your retirement accounts. So it's your Roth IRA, your 401k, right? Guys, 45, like y'all got, I mean, y'all must have like credit unions. Credit unions have a little bit higher average on their savings, generally about 0.41%. They're a little higher than the national average, right? Most banks, guys, are 0.01% interest on the checking account. Let me say that again. That's like 100th of a penny. That's the annual average interest rate. There you go. Hubby savings is 0.01%. There it is. I knew it was out there because that's average. That's average. But guys, your wealth building account, like when we do your mobile F&A and we show you your financial independence number, Mr. and Mrs. Client, that's where we're going to be really focused on how we build that. It's going to be through your 401k at work or whatever your retirement plan is, 403b, 457, whatever that is, and your Roth IRA. Okay? That's where we focus, guys. Questions on those three accounts? No, pretty simple. Good. All right. Here's some talk tracks on the money market, guys, because I think a lot of people miss this and they sort of miss how to leverage this from a sales perspective. And the beauty of selling a money market account to someone is you didn't have to sell anything. Guys, it's a free account. It's literally free. There's no sales charge. You don't make a dollar. I don't care if you open a money market account for a client with $500,000. Do you know what your commission will be? Free 99. It'll be absolutely zero. You don't make money by putting a client's money into a money market account on purpose. It's on purpose. If you put like $25.96 in there, that's what's going to be in there when they open the account. Now, a couple of like little sort of like minutia things about money market accounts. When you open a money market account for a client, the first 30 days of the account, the money is frozen. Meaning, if they need it, they can't access it without some like hoopla. Okay, so if you have a client that wants to put in $100,000 into a money market account with you, don't do it all initially. You can open the account with as little as 25 bucks. Now, if they're pretty certain that they don't need a whole lot of the money, well, God bless. Open the thing with 50,000, get them over the first break point, second break point. Lower their sales charges on the rest of their investments, right? Because that's the other benefit of having your money in a money market account with the same place that your investments are, is because it's going to, across the family of accounts, right? You get rights of accumulation. And I'll explain that here in a little bit, but let's finish with the money market. Guys, it's a mutual fund. It's sort of like a savings account on steroids. I don't care if you don't understand anything about the market. If you say, hey, listen, I know it can seem a little overwhelming. The easiest way to think about this, it's sort of like a savings account on steroids. Guys, like everybody can understand that, right? Now, the money's liquid, meaning you can move money in and you can move money out. From a technical aspect for you guys, that's why the net asset value price of a money market account is set to $1. The goal is to keep it at $1 because if there's no fluctuation, that's why we can do this without sales charges. Okay. It's free, guys. It's free for clients. The rates of return on these do float. They follow the federal funds rate. Okay. And the way to think about that is if inflation is high, guys, if inflation's high, what does the Fed do with interest rates? Cindy, you're not allowed to answer. Nicole, you either. If inflation is going up, what does the Fed do with interest rates? No. Yes, Suzanne. Amy, they don't lower them because if inflation is going up, we need to cool down the economy, which means we need to contract the monetary policy, right? We need to constrict it. We need to make money more expensive so people stop asking for it. If you make money cheaper, people want to go get it and they want to spend it, right? So if inflation is going up, the Fed is going to raise interest rates so that it makes it harder for people to borrow money. So that's the bad side of inflation. The good side of inflation is that the same rates that cause your credit cards and your car notes and your mortgages to go higher also causes your savings to go higher. Has anybody noticed that within the last 18 months, we actually saw savings rates north of 5%? Literally. You had high yield savings that were over 5%. For the last 10, 12 years, guys, you were looking at savings and money market accounts below 1% because money was free. You could get 0% interest loans. Like, why would a bank pay you to keep money in the bank if you can borrow the money for free? Okay. So if inflation goes up, the Fed has to raise interest rates to try to bring inflation down by taking money out of the actual like available like pool, right? So banks get more stingy. They don't want to give money away as easily. People have to qualify more, right? So now if inflation is down and the government wants to stimulate the economy, that's why they make money easy to get. That's where you hear the term QE, right? Quantitative easing. Basically, they're printing money. We don't like it, but it happens. Okay. So that's a money market account, guys. Biggest thing to remember on a money market account. Your clients get rights of accumulation across the same family of funds, right? So, for example, if you use all Fidelity funds for a client, and this is not a solicitation, it doesn't matter, right? Fidelity, Franklin, whatever. As long as you keep that client in the same family of funds as the money market account, they get rights of accumulation. You put $50,000 into that client's money market account. Well, guess what you just did for them? You lowered their sales charge on every other mutual fund product that you use with them. Okay. And if they intend to put more in over the next 13 months, you can do a letter of intent, meaning that within the next 13 months, if they get to that next breakpoint level that they said they were going to get to, they get sort of like the benefit of the doubt up front for 13 months. They get the lower sales charge. And as long as they get to that actual value, let's call it 100 grand, because that would be the next one, they're going to have the lower sales charge for the entire 13-month period until they get there. If they get there, perfect. It's what they're supposed to do. If they don't get there, they sort of get recapped and sort of charged back on what those sales charges should have been. You're talking like a half point. It's not really going to be that big of a deal, right? But if you can help a client get more upfront, one, it's going to increase your actual trades because if the money's there, go get it, right? Don't leave it on the table. The net asset value, Robin, is with a money market account, it's designed to stay at $1 because that's why money goes in and money goes out, and they can do it without sales charges because the price isn't floating, so there's no bid ask price on it like a normal mutual fund. The net asset value cost of the actual share is sort of like the stock price. It fluctuates, it goes up and down, and that's driven based off of volume of sales, right? But in a money market account, it's designed to stay at $1. We're not trying to make money on the actual like net asset value. Because there's no sales charge, there's none of that. So that's why in a money market account, it's designed to stay at $1. Okay, types of retirement accounts. Again, very, very basic. Okay, Roth, and a traditional. So Roth IRA, tax-free. Traditional IRA functions very, very similarly to a 401k, 403b, 457. These are different like nonprofit and state plans that you will generally see. Differences we're going to cover here are primarily based on taxes, right? And when those taxes happen. Are y'all with me? Is everybody okay? Am I wearing your brains out or is this too much? Everybody good? Okay. All right. I know it's hard when I'm just yapping at y'all, because I can only see a few of you too. So I just don't know. Okay. All right. Traditional IRA, you guys are likely never going to see this, but I kept it in the chart because the way the taxes work on a traditional is the same as your 401ks for your clients. Okay. Roth IRA, guys, Roth IRA, this is your client's largest wealth building opportunity purely based on taxes. Okay. So I'm going to jump to the Roth first because this is the thing that you should be opening for your clients. You should be opening them a Roth IRA and a money market account, no matter what. Okay. Because generally they're not going to have it. They have some group policy at work and they got a 401k. They can't even spell Roth IRA and they don't know what a money market is. That's your job. Okay. Roth IRA, you can put in $7,000 a year individually, up to 14,000 married, right? Even if like for Melissa, right? She doesn't have an actual income, but guess what? We are married and we file jointly. So my money is her money in terms of the IRS. So that means you can put 14 grand in. You just double the client's ability to save tax-free. Okay. Now, above 50, you have what are called catch-up contributions. Okay. So you can put in 8,000. Same thing applies to a traditional, and there's different limits for the 401k as well. But biggest thing to understand is that with a Roth IRA, guys, if I pay you right now, you get your check every week, you get $1,000 in your check, right? You paid taxes, you did your deductions, whatever. You have $1,000 in your actual paycheck. That's your net income. Your Roth IRA investment comes out of that net income. Okay. So in that sense, you don't get any tax break right now. Your tax break comes on the fact that you put that money in, you let it grow for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it becomes, you never pay taxes on again, ever. Right. So that's why it says it's tax deferred because the growth and the earnings are tax deferred, but it's also tax free. Okay. It's tax free if it's held for at least 5 years. Now, the like back over here to traditional and 401k, right? Since the IRS never got any money from you, do you think they want it at some point? Absolutely. So that means your earnings inside of your 401k or whatever investment somebody has that functions the exact same way are tax deferred, meaning you got paid 1,500 gross. You pulled 300 out for your 401k, so that lowered your taxable income. Your other 200 went to FICA, Social Security, Medicare, but that's why you ended up with $1,000 for the week. Okay. That 300 that came out for your 401k for that week or whatever, that's tax deferred, right? And what that 300 that actually came out, now it's tax deductible. So that lowered your gross income for the year on what you can actually be taxed on. So if you put 10 grand into your 401k this year, that lowered your gross income by 10 grand, right? That's why everyone wants to do it, but they lose sight of the fact that I can't tell you what tax rates are going to be 30, 40, 50 years from now, nor can you tell me what tax bracket you're going to be in when you're old and ideally rich, right? Everybody says, "Oh, I'll be old. Oh, my tax bracket will be so low." Why does everyone think that they're going to get old and be broke? I have no plan to be old and broke. Zero. I'm going to be old and rich, which means my tax bracket is probably going to be pretty high in theory, right? So don't believe this like false hype that oh, it's so much better because down the road I'll be old and my tax bracket will be low. Guys, that's like the worst piece of advice I've ever heard anyone given. The main reason you want to commit to investing inside of your 401k is because on average, most employers are going to give you 5% match, dollar for dollar. You show me somewhere else where you can put in a dollar and you're going to make a dollar immediately. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, right? So that's the main reasons that you want someone to leverage their 401k because they're going to get that match. The percentages vary, guys, right? And like the most basic is that you'll get a 100% match up to 3%, and then up to 5%, you'll get like another 50% match. So it averages out to about 4%. That's the most basic, right? Some places do way better, some not so much. Okay. And if your client, it works somewhere where they don't offer any benefits at all, and you let them walk away and you don't at least open them a Roth and a money market, massive disservice. Massive disservice. You have to help that client. All right. Last thing we'll talk about on traditionals and 401ks type stuff right here is distributions. RMD, required minimum distribution, right now, currently at age 73. What that means is, Jet, you get to 73 and you've never touched any of your 401k money. Uncle Sam is going to say, hello, Miss Park. Well, you're 73. Based on our actuarial tables, it looks like you're going to live to 97. You got $3 million in your 401k. You need to pay yourself for the next, right, 20 years. You need to pay yourself about $150,000 a year, meaning you have to pay yourself 150,000 and then you have to pay taxes on the 150,000. That's why there's a required minimum distribution. Now, every client that you will run into is going to be different because it's based on their age, it's based on their birth year, it's based on how much money they have, right? So you cannot give someone a blanket answer. You say, hey, that's something that we're going to have to look at when the time comes. There are ways around it. There are different annuity products that you could invest in that roll away from that. There are ways around it, but you still have to pay the taxes. The IRS doesn't care where the money comes from. You don't have to take the distribution. You have to pay the taxes on what the distribution should have been. If you have money to do that, Knock yourself out. Leave it alone. Don't withdraw it. Leave it in the market. But you have to pay the taxes because if you don't pay the taxes on what you should have, they're going to fine you 50% of what you should have taken out. They're going to make it so painful, they're going to get their money. No one is going to do that. Because if you should have taken 100 grand and paid 20 grand in taxes, but you didn't, and now they're going to fine you for 50 grand, you think anyone's ever going to let that happen? Not a chance in hell, right? Not going to happen. Okay. So here's a cool thing really quick that a lot of
Yeah,
people
let's do this. Let me give you one more cool thing. So, how many guys are seeing value in all this cool stuff that Noah put together for you guys? How many guys are seeing value in new slide decks, all this stuff? I'm assuming 401 securities. I hope you all are at least life insurance licensed and your veterans in here, so you really see value in this nerdy stuff here. Couple things. Super proud of Noah. Type in thank you in the Zoom chat to Noah because I didn't do this. Noah did this. Also, Noah doesn't get paid to override more than 80% of you guys, so thank him publicly in the Zoom chat. Noah, I just want to pop in real quick to let you know I'm going to close all the rooms in like 15 minutes, 5 minutes too, and we're
right.
going to jump back on and make sure we get everybody on Tuesday night training. Okay, so just to let you know, I'm popping out, but just be ready for me to just shut it down in 15 minutes. Okay,
You got it, brother.
thanks, my brother. Gots to
Mhm.
go. Bye.
Bye. Okay. This is a cool fact, right? And kudos to Cindy Wall because she learned this on one of the trainings somewhere because I wasn't even tracking this because forget about stuff, right? There's I've probably learned and forgotten more things in my life than most people have like figured out yet. But this is cool, guys. A saver's credit. You can leverage this with people. Check this out. How many of your clients, and be honest, how many of your clients, honestly, guys, are somewhere between 46 and 50,000 a year income jointly? Check that out. A lot, right? Guess who our primary demographic and our primary market is? Middle income families, right? So if some of your clients are making less than $76,000, guess what? You qualify for a saver's credit, which means if you put in 7,000 for the year, right? You're going to get back based on your actual like gross income that you filed with, your adjusted gross income, by the way, adjusted gross income. So take out your standard deductions, which means that your actual income in this case is much higher. It's probably closer to like 50, what, 63. Somebody help me on this. Again, you need to be giving a disclaimer that you are not a tax professional. Please, because you're not. Give that unless you are. I am not. I tell people, look, I know just about enough about taxes to be dangerous. So I am not a tax professional. I will teach you some just like basic stuff, but you need to verify all of this with your accountant. Now, if somebody's doing TurboTax and they make that much money and they contributed, it should pop up as like an automatic thing. But guess what? They're not going to know. They're not going to know that they would get a credit back, meaning money back in their tax return, unless you tell them. Unless you tell them. Look, let's just read the basic example because I stole this straight from like the IRS page, right? John and Mary filed joint return. He's going to put 1,000 into his 401k. Oh, by the way, this applies to 401k, Roth, anything, any qualified money. All right. She put 1,000 in an IRA too. Their income was 33.5. So check that out, right? Less than, right? Each of them therefore get a 50% credit for their contributions. That means they get $1,000 tax credit, not off, right? Tax credit. It's coming back. Holy smokes. Thank you, Cindy. I didn't know this. This is huge, right? Something to leverage, guys. Something to leverage. Okay. All right. What's next? What's next? What's next? Here we go. This is a huge one. Okay. This is a huge one. Your 401k. We already talked about this a little bit. I do a bad job of waiting for the slide because I built it. I already know what's coming. But here's a way for your 401k with your clients, guys. And it's sort of like talking about life insurance. Look, if you are in a company that provides a 401k opportunity and you're not leveraging it, right, Nicole, I would argue you're just giving away free money. You truly are, because if your employer is going to give you up to a 6% match, you should be taking all 6% of that. And if that's really tight right now, let's figure out how to get you there because I don't want you leaving free money on the table. Does that make sense? Perfect. And I mean, honestly, Nicole, like if I could help you figure out a way to save more and take more of your company's money to contribute to your savings, like that would make a ton of sense, right? Like, let's stick it to the man. Let's stick it to the man. That's pretty crazy. And check this out. You personally can contribute, Nicole, up to $23,500 in 2025 into your 401k. That's wild, right? That's wild. And that means like this year now, you can put in $70,000 a year max into your 401k. Your contributions can top out at 23.5, but that means your company can match you 23.5 plus incentives, plus profit sharing, plus all sorts of other ways to get you to that other uh to the delta, right? All the way up to $70,000. Guys, the last thing that you need to be reminding clients about is that you can take it with you. Just be like you're at a company and they get bought out. Most people spaz, lose their mind, and like liquidate their 401k because like, oh, my company is going under. Your company may be getting bought, but your assets are still being held at a different custodian somewhere. That's not changing. And people have this thing in their mind where like my company is going under, my 401k must be going to crap because they think that because the 401k comes from the company that everything in the investment is tied to the company. Guys, I see this over and over and over. It's crazy, right? So let me jump over here really quick. What's inside of my retirement accounts? It's a mutual fund. Okay. I think the most simple example I ever heard a mutual fund explained as like conceptually is like a sliding glass door as is a stock. And like, do you guys remember those old like ugly bathroom windows that were like single squares of glass? There was like 20 of them and it made like one big window. You guys remember that? Like that's a mutual fund, right? If I throw a baseball through the sliding glass door, guys, what happens? Whole thing comes crashing down, right? But if I throw a baseball through one of those ugly bathroom block things, most likely just one of those stupid blocks is going to pop out. Well, that stupid block that popped out is one company inside of a mutual fund. You still got a whole window, right? So if you think about it, guys, a mutual fund is managed by a professional money manager. You have an individual investor, but it's managed by professional managers, and they're comprising that fund of like, I mean, I know it says more than 150 stocks on average. I would say the average is more likely somewhere between 70 and 150, right? Because you start getting that many companies and you start like the percentages of each company start getting like microscopic. But you have to understand that like even just being in one mutual fund, your client is automatically diversified because on their own, at best, they would be going and picking one stock and hoping and praying. I say it like this, guys. Like, listen, Nicole, like we're really going to focus on investing for you. And that means we use mutual funds because you're automatically diversified. Your risk is spread out 100 companies at least, right? Would you rather spread out risk over 100 companies or basically like go to Vegas and put it all on black? Yeah, I don't like that either, right? So I don't bet with your money. I want to invest your money. Is that fair? Yeah, so let's go with 100 companies, right? That's a mutual fund, guys. Okay. Rule of 72. This is the way you have to be able to explain this to people. Guys, this is just three different accounts. We put $10,000 in each account, right? And the rule of 72 is just 72 and you divide by the interest rate. And that's how long it's going to take your money to double. Have you ever heard of the rule of 72 before? They're going to say no. The husband will say, oh, yeah, 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 I've heard of that. Yeah, because that's what they always do, but they don't know. They don't understand. And the best way with this, and Cindy likes it to build. For simplicity's sake, I just got it up here right now. But guys, $10,000 invested in one account, no extra money is ever added. And look what happens 24 years later, right? 10 grand turns to 20 because 72 divided by 3 is 24. But then at 6%, it turns into 40. At 12%, guys, it turns into 160 grand. Nobody's getting excited yet, right? 24 years from now, nobody's getting excited. But if you're talking to a 25-year-old, you got to remember that that's going to be them at like 48, 49, 50. They're not super excited yet. But you say, hey, Bob, it's okay, right? Because if you consistently dollar cost average, look, 20, the second 24 years when we start doubling large sums of money, Bob, is when we're going to get to a point where now we've got a large chunk of money. But that's also, Bob, where you have to start so early because look what happens, right? I mean, Bob, you're in your 40s, right? If I could roll you back in a time machine to 22 and teach you the same thing, would you go? Yeah, you can't cheat, right? Like you can't put it all in like Apple, but you would go and start over differently, wouldn't you? Absolutely. Didn't you tell me your son was 22? Guys, I'm leveraging into like I'm planting that and then I'm leveraging back to make sure we get back in front of those adult kids. Because if you're sitting down with an adult that did it wrong and they want to have a better future for their kids and you give them a way to do it, can they ever tell you no? They can't. They can't tell you no. They literally can't, right? And I said, look, if I could put you in that time machine and take you back 25 years, Bob, to when you were 22, just like your adult son, completely safe, you would go. Am I right? Perfect. That's your adult son. Like, when can we sit down and show him this? Right? That's huge. So look, from 22 to 29, you put in 7 grand a year and then stop. Your buddy over here never started until 30, but he invested from 30 all the way to 67 and never stopped. Normally I would like have this like hidden, right? But like, look who's got more money. Investor A. This is the high cost of waiting, right? So you miss these first 7, 8, 9 years up front, you pay for it forever. But here's the crazy part. Do you think my buddy over here, Investor A, if he figured out how to do this from 22 to 29, do you think he's ever actually going to stop? Not a chance. Because if this dude never stops, this number is actually more like 4.5. So those first 7 years, that first 7 year head start was a $2 million head start if he's maxing it out. That's crazy. And that doesn't even take into account where he could have been doing like catch-up contributions down here. It could have been 8,000, right? So decreasing responsibility, I'm not going to beat this one. You guys get this, and then the slides in the same way, right? So next week will be 401 week two. It'll be like leveraging the mobile F&A. Um, questions, guys. I know Robin asked something about a 403B Roth, and can we open a 401k that a company matches in? Robin, you have to work for that company. You can't just like open one and get a match, right? Like that's not how those work. You have to actively work for that employer. It's part of that employer's benefit package. And a 403B Roth, a 403B is just like a uh, generally like government or nonprofit 401k. And inside of those, you can have Roth components, you can have regular traditional components. It's no different. Okay. If you can leverage a uh, matched Roth, pretty good. Generally, that gets a little wonky though when you start mixing your Roth and traditional money because then like the tax side, especially if you have an external one that you want to try to maximize, if you're not maxing that one. Personally, I would rather my client keep their Roth separate, private, just like their life insurance, and keep their 401k, their 401k. It keeps the lines much cleaner because if you start over contributing, the IRS can penalize you. Don't like it, personally, right? Personally, do not like it. Yes, it's just like a regular Roth. It's the exact same. You can't over contribute to it. You can still only put in 7 grand. We can roll a 401k into a traditional IRA. Yeah. For most people, it's not worth it. If you're not planning on using the money, I would generally roll a 401k if you're sitting on it into like a buffer annuity. No fees, no taxes, nothing. You roll it into a traditional IRA, you still have the same taxes, but now you're going to pay a sales charge just to move it. Okay. Um, yeah, I would not. Personally, I would not. I am not a huge fan of rolling client money into traditional IRAs because you're going to get the sales charge. You still have the same tax issues. You need to kind of do the math on it and see if it would make sense to just roll it into a Roth. Because if you take 100 grand and roll it in, now all that money just became Roth money, but you have to figure out the tax implications because that is sort of like taking a distribution for tax purposes in that tax year. because all that money is going to be remaining tax-free, but the client still is responsible for the taxes. All right. We can catch up on that at a different time, but we're about to get kicked out to the other room. So, guys, I hope you saw some value in this. It's going to keep getting better. Send me feedback, right? Put it in Wolfpack. You can DM me directly. I don't care. If there was something we missed or something we need to like add in more, keep it coming because we're just going to keep making it better and it's going to keep going along the way. All right, let me stop this recording.